And in the interest of true disclosure, I must say to you that I'm also a California co-chair for the Hillary Clinton campaign.
And actually, that's one thing that we'd like to talk to you about, because to see about this story and how it happened.
Right, right. Well, I think the big news of February 5th was not as much who won the Democratic primary, but it was the fact that Democrats were energized. Democrats voted in record numbers. Democrats registered in record numbers. Democrats added there were 150,000 Democrats that were added to the rolls this past year, whereas Republicans lost 25,000. And I think it's because Democrats had two great candidates to choose from. Two candidates that were so well-spoken, that were so well-qualified, both of whom would be history-making if they got the presidency. And so what has been just amazing to me is to see the energy that's out there. And I was able to go to the Saturday rally at Cal State LA where Hillary Clinton spoke. And to experience that intense enthusiasm was like something that I hadn't seen in my decades of experience in political life. I got there at 9 a.m., but young people had lined up around the corner, snaking through Cal State LA since 6 a.m. And it was really cold, that day. But they are enthused about the choices that they have. They feel empowered to get involved. And you saw it in the vote that took place on February 5th. Now, remember that leading up to February 5th, it really looked like the momentum was going with Obama. What was going on? Well, he got the major push from the Iowa victory. He got the Kennedy endorsement, or endorsements, I should say. He had the rally held by Oprah over at UCLA. Then there was Maria Shriver coming in. Then there were the polls that were all saying that he was going to be neck and neck, if not be pushing ahead. There was in fact even one poll that said that he would be 16 points ahead of Hillary. So what happened? Well, as you know, Hillary made the major push. In fact, I thought on election night that I was going to be there till 3 a.m., but actually the whole thing was decided by 9:30 p.m. Well, she ended up winning the California primary by 10 points. And who were the major groups that enabled this victory? Well, I say it was women, Latinos, the LGBT community, and Asian Americans. Women were a major force. She won the women's vote by 59% to 34%. She won the Latino vote. It was basically 2-1. 66%, there was a 33-point spread there. The LGBT vote was 60% to 25%. So there was a 35-point spread there. But the untold story, the story that has not come out until now, is the fact that as far as Asian Americans, there was a 3-1 margin for Hillary Clinton. That is, it was a 46-point spread, an overwhelming vote for Hillary Clinton. And this is significant for several reasons, but one is that the Asian American vote has really grown here in California. Now it is 8% of the California vote, and it actually exceeds the African American vote, which is 6%. Now, why is it that Asian Americans came in such large numbers for Hillary Clinton? Well, first of all, I do think that the experience that Hillary Clinton has had led to greater organization and outreach to all these different groups. She was the first one to have an Asian Pacific Islander outreach program in her campaign. She was the one to have the most diverse staff. In fact, there was an analysis of the presidential staffs, and she had the most diverse and also had the greatest number of Asian Americans amongst them. because of the staff and the office, they did the greatest amount of outreach to all the elected officials. So she ended up getting the greatest number of Asian Pacific Islander elected officials on the campaign. And because we were all on board and actually were an organized force for several months, we had this whole developed program on outreach to the API population in California. Now I have to tell you also an interesting story about a group called 8020. 8020 is an Asian American political activist group that started, it started in the late 1990s because they felt disenfranchised in the presidential process. And they felt that if they could get at least 80% of the Asian American population to unite behind one presidential candidate, that presidential candidate would then not just see the Asian American population as a place to do fundraising, that it would be a place to actually seek the votes. And so 8020 decided to develop this, this approach, which is they would send a questionnaire to each of the presidential candidates, both Democrat and Republican. This is a bipartisan group, by the way. And they would see whether the candidates would commit. So the questionnaire this time had questions on such things as whether the presidential candidate would fight workplace discrimination against that is occurring against Asian Americans, the glass ceiling kind of issues, whether they would nominate judges to the federal bench, and things like that. And so Hillary Clinton did have some initial questions about this. We intervened to try to work out those questions. Finally, she did answer yes to all 6 questions. Obama did not. He did have similar questions, but he did not have the depth within the Asian American community to negotiate such things. And as a result, 8020 endorsed Hillary Clinton, decided to put their money behind her, and did all kinds of other outreach programs there. And I think that was a contributing factor as well. So I can say that the Asian American community was very enthusiastic about Hillary Clinton. And I think that it was a significant portion of the vote. And I think it's one reason that she was victorious on Tuesday.